Well, fall has come, and I am so excited to begin this new season with you. And we are starting by painting gorgeous fall trees, and I am baking this week, and I'm painting all the fall things and pulling out the decor and welcoming fall. And we are painting trees, and we're using our imaginations and looking at their root system as well. And if your trees are like mine, or at least the ones around me, they're not quite in full autumn bloom, but they're starting to turn, and it is just so beautiful. So paint this beautiful tree with me today, and I'm so happy you're here. Hi everyone, welcome to our new season of the Creative Season YouTube channel. We're entering into fall, and I thought we would just play with trees. I've been playing with trees and specifically looking at trees and their root system. So a little bit of using our imagination this morning, but there's a wonderful saying, I think it was Chuck Swindoll, and he would say, when the wind blows strong, the roots go and grow deep. And with the storms this week, I was just watching the wind and thinking about that, about those trees that the wind blows them all over the place, and it's that deep root system which keeps them secure. And of course, trees are so gorgeous in the fall, right? We are going to see them change colors. So I have today a couple of 4x6 pieces of watercolor paper. I'm not taping them down today. We're going to kind of use the whole piece of paper. You can see in this one that I've just done a light sketch of a tree slightly off center, and I was just finishing up another sketch if you wanted to sketch with me. And you can see right here I've come to the other side. I have a thick trunk on this tree, and really I just want to do a little bit of an outline here and looking at those roots, imagining how deep they have to go to hold the tree in place as the autumn winds blow. And certainly we have seen when the winds grow super strong that some trees don't make it, do they? So just if you want to take a moment and create your own root system with your tree, we're doing a little bit of again, just a bit of our imaginations of drawing what we can see and then what is invisible to us because of what is happening underground. And I find that it is in those autumn seasons of our life and going into the winter seasons of our life where we often discover where all of the leafy part blows away of what is strong in us, right, through crisis or just unexpected things, even just maybe a super busy season that you never would have wanted, but just kind of comes and happens to be your opportunity. And then or maybe sickness, and maybe all sorts of things that those storms reveal, the things that maybe we need help with from others, or that usually I always love Psalm 1, where it says our roots grow down deep into the Lord, and we're planted like a tree next to the water whose leaf does not wither even in drought season. I may be getting Psalm 1 mixed up with Jeremiah 17, but that's still that tree analogy of the roots growing deep, deep, deep for the people who trust in the Lord, because no matter what happens, they are able to come through and not give in to fear, anxiety, etc., etc. So with that in mind, that was kind of the theme. Those are some of the things I was thinking about. I was watching the weather, thinking about some things in life, thinking about some situations with other people in my life, all the things. So let's go ahead and paint. It's just a really fun fall project. And I do not know where there's my cap. There's my cap to my pen. Again, if you want to paint to lay down some masking tape, go ahead. However, you can see I went all the way up to the edges, and we're not painting with tons of water today. You can see, I'll just show you some of the colors I was using. We're kind of pulling our fall palette. So I am kind of looking at a lot of trees around me. They're still pretty green. They're just starting to turn. And I've got some leaves coming off of this one. In fact, that's what I meant to do. We can even come back here if you want to do a couple of, even just sketch part of the leaf coming off. Do an odd number, right? Because always odd numbers. And so, okay, I'll do another one down here, just flying off in the wind. And this tree, it's more of a tree full in autumn colors, and I don't have any trees like that near me. Not yet, but if you really want to get into the yellows and the oranges and the browns, this is maybe a color palette you want. This one, I had just a little bit of yellow, and I have, again, most of the trees around me are kind of green, but just a little bit of yellow, or like this guy. And so just kind of depending on where your trees around you might be. This is again a little bit of yellow and a little bit more brown throughout the tree. And and this one actually included some, it was this one. This one I included some blue in the hills in the back, and blue to deepen up and darken some of those leaves. So choose your color palette, whatever you want to do. Again, if you're maybe you have that fall color palette out, I'm going to be using sap green, yellow ochre, if you have burnt sienna, raw umber, gamboge. So my yellows right here, I've got yellow ochre, I have some cadmium yellow hue there. This is a cadmium yellow light, which I may just mix with some brown, but I'm mostly going to use those two there. And this is gamboge. I do actually have a new palette. I'm just trying to use all the paint off my old one. It will all be on one single palette very soon, but that's the gamboge. I've got a lot of sap green there. Some of a hooker's green light, which I may dabble into, but mostly I'm going to use the sap green. And then blue. I have just whatever dark blue you have. I have some blue in the corner here that I'm going to pick up a little bit of. So ultramarine, you could use a phthalo blue. That's going to be a little bit more cooler, but it would work with the green. So we're going to go pretty fast here. Not that we ever go super slow, but again, this is a fun project. It just takes a few minutes to do. If you want to do a couple, two at the same time, I'll just do one right now, but sometimes I like to sketch them all out because then I'll actually paint them, versus if I sketch one, then I paint one, and then I'm kind of feel finished. So sometimes the other day I was sketching a bunch and then I just enjoyed painting a bunch. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our trunk and our root system. So I'm going to pull up some brown, and I am going to go ahead and lay out my tree branches that I have sticking out in various places. And I'm going to go ahead and then move on down the major limbs. I want to go and do these first so they'll dry just a little bit when I come back and do my leaves. And it would be super helpful if that was a little bit more centered, wouldn't it? So let me come back up here just a bit. It has been overcast all week, and it's still overcast today, but there was just enough natural light. I thought, okay, this will work. And also, it finally quieted down. It was a loud week outside, and we had a lot of the birds have left. However, I had these crows that have been literally screeching. I don't know if it's something in the weather, but they have been screaming and screeching. I'm not the hugest fan of crows. They're fine. But they kind of was amusing because I had been thinking earlier this week, gosh, those beautiful birds that used to greet me at 5 a.m. in the morning when they would start singing in the summertime, they're not here. If you can hear that, that was one of the crows. I'm pretty sure it's a crow. And one of them was going on and on and on very loudly right outside the window the other day. So it was almost like I did get my answer back. I got some birds. Not the sweet songbirds, but I got the crows. Okay, so you can see I'm just moving down, and I did pick up, I'll come in closer, I picked up some darker brown. So what I like to do, and I'll do that again, I like to pick up some darker brown and just dab it in a couple of places and then let it dance. And we could do something really intricate and do like different layers of like dirt, a color for the dirt, a color for the roots, but we would have to let it dry in between paintings, and since patience is not really my strong suit, we are just going to do this. Sometimes it is, but I do love this time of painting with you when we can just enjoy completing a little miniature painting together. I do sometimes come back and play with them, but the bulk of it, right, is complete. I'm going to go ahead and just do my leaves here too. A couple of them I'll paint completely brown, remembering to leave some light spots or some white spots. Okay, and that looks really good. And let me back it up a little bit. I'm going to bring this down so you can see it. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to do a little bit of yellow ochre. I'm going to pull some yellow ochre and get that nice and wet. Don't forget to just make sure you get your paint nice and wet. Like, you shouldn't hear it scraping Okay, I guess the way I paint is I don't want to hear it scraping across the paper when I paint. And so if you feel yourself almost hearing the texture of the brush and it feels scratchy, I would pick up a little bit more water in your paint, especially for projects like this when we are capitalizing on watercolor's ability to dance and play. So I'm just doing it in one corner here. And then I'm going to come up, let me come in a little closer. And I'm going to pick up some of that sap green. And again, nice, lots of water. I want the paint to move a little bit, not tons. I don't want it to go all the way across the paper, but I just picked up a little bit of water there because I want that sense of movement. If you get some green into the brown too, it's fine. It's not going to create a muddy mess. And that's one of the other reasons I really love the fall palette, is because it's very forgiving because most of the colors sing together really beautifully. Okay, so I am going to just come on back in here, and I'm just moving my brush really rhythmically around. I'm going to put a little bit of green over by this yellow and let that dance and play together. Now, if you wanted to get a little bit of orange, you certainly could. So I had picked up, that was a cadmium yellow. If you wanted to get just a little bit of a brighter color, or even just get that cadmium yellow, or even, I'm not going to pick up a red because I don't want it, that will turn muddy. I'm just going to drop in a little bit of that brighter colored yellow here. And I'm going to come right through here. Not tons, but just a little bit. And I'm thinking now too about I guess these are my mountains in the background. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow down. And then I'm going to come back with some green. Very limited color palette today. And just add in the green, letting the colors dance together. I'm not too close to the tree trunk, so we're not getting green in the tree trunk, but if that happens, just grab your dry brush and I would just kind of sop up the water. You can see I had some green kind of moving into this tree a little bit, and I'll lift this up so you can see it. If you can see that, it ever so slightly, you can see that branch just, we lost the brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab a little bit more yellow for this middle part right here, because I wanted to paint that in, but I wanted to start with a little bit of yellow there. And then I can do a couple of things. I could lift up that paint, and that's one way. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some dark brown, and I'm not going to go all the way up to the top of the tree trunk. I'm going to go about 2/3 of the way up, and then just let that paint come down. Now take a look around too if you left anything out. If maybe you want to come back with some of the roots, maybe add a few more. Again, thinking of that saying, when the winds grow strong, the roots go deep. Such an interesting truth that we can apply to so many different areas. I hope wherever you are, you're safe from the storms. I know they've been just ravaging through so many different states. Okay, and I'm going to bring that up. And we are at an exciting, not even 14 minutes, and we have our tree done. And so you can see, super simple, but fun, right? You could let it dry. And so one of the things that I like to look at after I have this all taken care of and all finished is to go, okay, right in here, I want it to be a little bit more thicker with color, because it looks like it got a little bit watery or even water stained. So I just added a little bit more green, sap green at the top. I'm going to come back with my yellow ochre, and I'm going to add that right here. Rinse out my brush real well. And put a little bit more yellow ochre right in there. And then I'm going to let it dry. Oh, you know what? Our leaves. That's what I'm forgetting. Don't forget to finish up your leaves. And if you want to, a little bit of a splatter. Not too much, but I just think that looks nice as the leaves are falling. I think next week, I have it scheduled, we're going to do some splatter art with trees. It's a lot of fun. We do lots of layering. But with this, we just have our beautiful trees. Again, 4x6, beautiful little piece of art. You can put them on your refrigerator, put a quote next to it if you want, write a note on the back, stick it in the mail for someone. I hope you've enjoyed painting this. I love painting trees, especially in the fall, and I look forward to painting more with you as we go into more splatter art next week. All right, I'll talk to you soon.